Welcome back to the Parenting Wisdom Podcast. Today, I'm going to talk about one of the most pressing issues we all as parents deal with, and that's sibling rivalry. So, I have three boys. They are 4, 7, and 11. And in the past, when my older two kids would fight, I would feel such deep stress that I felt like I am under attack. And it was just horrible for me. I felt like I'm stepping on eggshells in my house to make sure that my kids are not fighting so I won't feel horrible in my own body. It just wasn't working. I reflected on that and thought about that a lot. Why is it making me react this strongly? And in time, I was able to change the way that I see sibling rivalry. And it made me feel much more in peace when they are fighting. And not only that, it also made the fighting better. I mean, they fight less. And when they fight, they are much more able to solve it by themselves without even me needing to intervene most of the time. So I want to talk about the principles that I adopt in my house that really have made me feel much more in peace with my children's fighting. So the first principle is that my kids can deal with their own issues. I've been really taking a step back with their fighting and not trying to intervene in every little thing. I want to give them the opportunity to deal with their conflict. I want them to give them the opportunity to get mad, to be frustrated with each other, to hate each other for a while, and then to solve it because that's what they want to do. So I really give them permission to go at it and fight and and just resolve it between themselves because that's how they learn. And eventually they always want to get back to connection because there's something fun that they want to do together and they need to solve their issue. They need to solve their conflict and it just passes. So mostly I'm really not interfering. The second principle that I have adopted is that conflict is good. Many of us are afraid of conflict or think that conflict is a bad thing or are afraid that somebody is going to get hurt or afraid that somebody is going to get out of hand. Conflict is a good thing. Conflict is necessary in every relationship. If we don't have conflict, the relationship is not real. If we don't have conflict, the relationship is not going to get stronger. So we need conflict in order to make the relationship real. We need conflict in order for our kids to learn what it means to have those rupture moments in the relationship. And then when they repair, the relationship becomes stronger. It's the same in any relationship. If something bothers you, you need to step up, you need to stand up for yourself, and you need to say what is bothering you. And that's what kids do so naturally without us needing to do anything. Something bothers them, they yell at their brother. They're mad at their sister. They hit. It's natural. They need to go through these things because that's how they're going to learn. That's how they're going to mature. Conflict is an essential part of any relationship, and we need to let them be with conflict and resolve their own conflicts. That being said, there are things that I do interfere in because they are, for me, these are lines that they should not cross. If they get to a point where they're fighting and actually hurting each other, I'm going to intervene, and I'm going to separate them right away. If they're calling each other names that for me it's unacceptable in the house, I'm going to go and I'm going to intervene and I'm going to set that boundary. So on the one hand, I'm letting them have their conflict, I'm letting them solve it, but I'm setting very clear boundaries of what is acceptable and what is not acceptable in my house. Another principle is that I never take sides. As much as I can, I never take sides because you really don't know who started, who's to blame. You're seeing always only part of the picture, and you're also seeing the situation through a frame that you put on it. Whether it's that you believe that one kid is stronger than the other, or whether you believe that one kid is always starting the fights. So we really have to be careful and not take sides in the interaction. And if we do intervene, we we intervene from a place of a mediator. We're there to help them negotiate. We're there to help them have a conversation and to solve the issue from a very objective place as much as we can. And if we are too emotionally involved in the situation, it's going to be hard for us to do that. So if that is the case, then we need to make sure we take a break and we maybe send each one of them to their rooms so they can take a break, and then we can go back to the conversation and to the mediating and to help them communicate in a more beneficial way. As long as we don't get too emotionally overwhelmed, we can deal with the situation on the spot. But if we do get emotionally overwhelmed, we should take a break. Everybody should take a break, take a pause, and then go back to solving the conflict. Another thing is that I ignore completely bickering and them annoying each other. I have three boys in the house. It seems like all they want to do all day is to annoy each other. They get into each other's way. They have to touch each other every time they get close to each other. They have to push each other just a little bit. They have to say something to bother the other person. It's like they're looking for that all the time. And I just step out of that. If that's your thing, if that's what makes you happy, if that's maybe a need that you have, I let that go. If it comes to a place where it's like it's too much, it's bothering one kid, and it's one kid that is doing it all the time to the other one, yes, we should intervene. Yes, we should empower the kid that is getting picked on to step up for themselves and to say stop. And that is something that we can do in a separate conversation, one-on-one between us and the kid, just to give them the tools to stand up for their brother, to their sister. Because eventually we want them to, again, solve it between themselves. We can always be behind the scenes, having conversations with our kids separately in order to empower them to stand up, in order to help them figure out what to say in those situations, in order to hear them out. Maybe they're frustrated, maybe they're mad, maybe they're sick of their sibling. We can always be there for them to listen behind the scenes. We just need to be careful not to intervene in the middle when they're in a conflict. Unless, of course, they cross the boundaries that are the boundaries of your house. So, for example, in my house, my kids tend to call each other but. It annoys me on the one hand, but on the other hand, it's not like a horrible curse word, so I kind of let it go. But we came to a point where the other kid, two of my kids started to call the third kid but all the time. And it really frustrated him. It really annoyed him. I talked with him and I told him, listen, it won't help if you will say, stop doing that, stop doing that. I don't like it in the moment. You have to gather everybody around and make it official and ask them not to call you that anymore. And we will back you up. We as parents are going to back you up. So one night when we were having dinner, I said that one of the kids has something to say to the other kids. And he stepped up and he said, I don't want you guys to call me but anymore. And me and my husband said, do you guys hear him? Do you guys understand? Is it not going to happen again? And they all agreed. We'll see how it goes from here. But when this is done in a place where everybody is calm and everybody is connected, it has a very different impact than if in the moment he's just saying, stop, 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 stop. That doesn't impact anything because everybody is just enjoying the whole situation. Another principle is that I let them wrestle and play fight. I have boys, they need to take out that energy. It seems like they always want to wrestle, they always want to play fight. I let them go for it. They know the rules. They're not supposed to hit each other in the face, in the groin. They're not supposed to punch each other. As long as they don't do something that is too much, that can really hurt the other person, I let them fight. I let them wrestle. It's part of childhood. It's part of what being boys is all about. Some girls also like to wrestle. I let that go. I let them do it because I know that it's part of their developmental process and it's part of the way that they play. The last thing that I want to share with you is something deeper. So I'm really trying to avoid labeling my kids, but not only labeling them outwardly, I try to avoid labeling them inside my own head. Because many times we have this assumption as parents, we have a way of looking at the situation that is confined by our restricted way of seeing the world. And if, for example, I have this belief, this deep ingrained belief in my head that my older son is harming my younger son, then every interaction between them, I will view from that frame. And as long as I'm viewing the interaction from that frame, I'm actually creating that reality. I know this may be hard to believe, but our energy and the way that we see the world actually impacts the way that the world is going to be. And I've seen this in my life over and over and over again. So we need to really make sure that we don't have these labels in my head of how one kid is, how the other kid is, who is right and who is wrong, who is strong and who is weak, who is the attacker and who is the victim. We have to really let go of these labels because as long as we're holding on to these labels, that's how our kids are going to be. As long as we see one kid as a victim, that's how he's going to be. As long as we see one kid as a bully, that's how he's going to be. We have to let go of these labels inside our head and try as much as we can to come to a situation, to come to our kids with a clean slate, because that will give them opportunity to really change. That will give them the opportunity to really grow, to mature, to step up, and to be better for each other, to be better siblings, to be better people, to know to be better in relationship and life in general. We don't want them to be stuck in a label because that label can be stuck with them for life. So we have to be mindful of our thoughts. We have to be mindful of our beliefs. And we as parents have so much influence on our children. We as parents have so much influence on the atmosphere of the house. We have to be so aware of the way that we are seeing things and the way that we are interpreting situations in our house. So I hope this all was helpful for you. If you have any questions, if you have any comments, please let me know. Talk to you soon.